Hello, dear aquarist. Welcome again to my videos where I make studies or critical evaluate publications on fish diseases or other issues that relate to the ornamental aquarium fish industry or the hobby. And today I examined an article that has been published by a specialist on worm infections and a team that has doing interesting research on diseases in pet shops, in aquarium shops in Mexico. And they did a survey on the parasites. So I will show you the article. I will summarize the findings. You will see the link below where you can go to the article yourself in detail so you can learn from it and maybe take some important actions, particularly when you are an importer or an aquarium shop, that you can take good measures to prevent certain diseases so you have less diseased fish, less medications, less troubles, more happy fish, more happy customers. So the article has been published in the Veterinary Parasitology, Regional Reports and Studies. And this was a study done about parasites of veterinary importance of ornamental fish commercialized in Mexico. So it talked about, well, I'll give you the abstract here. It's about wild and farm raised ornamental fish that are traded in the industry. And they collected parasites of the imported marine and freshwater ornamental fish from 10 different aquarium wholesale shops from two important localities in Mexico. So people who are importing fish, in particularly shops or wholesalers. That didn't go in detail what shops it was. And they did a study between 2016 and 2020. So 4 years of study. In total, 631 fish were examined for parasites. So this, I say it clearly, this is about parasites, not about bacteria or fungus. And particularly, well, the parasites was the case study done on 631 fish. And they had 66 different species of marine fish and 22 different species of freshwater ornamental fish. And they found 12 parasitic species in the marine fish. Most of them are Digenea and Monogenea and few nematodes. And the freshwater fish, four parasites belonging to the Protozoa, the Digenea, the Nematode, and the Cestoda. So they concluded, well, I will give it later on in the conclusion, that particularly the Monogeneans, the Neobenedenia, and the flukes, Pseudo and Pleurosoma, were the most prevalent parasites in the marine fish. And the interesting thing is they also looked at the biosecurity measures and the quarantine measures and the prophylactic measures taken into the shops when importing the fish. And they concluded that there was, well, a bad, what can I say, to have an effective management strategy, they should promote health of ornamental fish populations important by minimizing the disease outbreaks and to approve, how can I say, improve the ways of biosecurity. And that was the main cause of, or the result of this article, and the main purpose to examine, yes, what is lacking that these parasites come into the market or come into the fish. You can go for yourself in the introduction. It references to the trade. Here it gives a summary on all the different marine fish, what parasites they found. On the Acanthurus species, the Zebrasoma, you can call it many different marine fish, the Chaetodon, uh, many different fish. A 4-year study, which is, I would say, a very large study done on Centropedia, angelfish. So a lot of fish, Pomacanthus, and on the freshwater fish, that study on the cardinal tetra, other tetras, Monkhausias, Chromobotia, angelfish, oscars, Nylandia, cichlids, Haplochromis, Curamis, live bearers. And I will not go in detail all of everything what is found here in this list. They will go summarize the detail further on in another table. At the same time, they examined the shops, what kind of preventative or biosecure measures they took here. And what was very for me interesting to see if they had quarantine area. And you can see only one had a quarantine area and the other ones don't use it. And one is using it sometimes. Well, when you're importing fish, please, it is so mostly important to take quarantine measures. I have in my Patreon, I will give the link below, a specific training on quarantining fish, freshwater and marine, and what actions to take. And you will be surprised how many diseases you can control and prevent to infect your other fish in your system. Because what other thing what amazed me here, what they were doing, they were disinfecting the equipment. I mean, the nets, says nest here, but it's nets. No disinfection of nets. I hope they had the nets separate on each fish tank. I hope it didn't dedicate it because that's the best measure to have nets on each tank separately in the aquarium section. And if you don't have it, well, you have to disinfect the nets. And the medications they were using were mostly, or the drugs they were using, mostly antibiotics and metronidazole. Some use salt, some use copper, but particularly antibiotics. Yes, well, we know that bacterial infections is about the most common problem we are dealing with. But if you don't take proper quarantine measures, well, you have a big risk of having those bacterial infections. But that's the drugs they'll be using here. It all goes in detail in the shops. The temperatures are all about the same. The oxygen level is quite different. Some has a very high oxygen level, like here. It's I sometimes wonder if somebody has a good quarantine area. Maybe he has different ways of handling the fish. Could be. Well, those are not the details I could find here, but still read through it. What they did, the studies which done in the past, the materials they used, and here they give a summary of the Monogenea parasites. Here it's classed the Digenea parasites they found in the marine fish. Digenea, which is called like Metacercaria or digenetic trematodes. And here mostly it's monogenetic trematodes like flukes, skin flukes like Neobenedenia or gill flukes. I was surprised to see a lot of Neobenedenia. And I have a separate video on Neobenedenia disease in marine fish. I will show you also the link below where you can find that Neobenedenia video. Well, this gives a detail that a lot of worms, internal were found. Internal also, they found some capillaria in the marine fish. Not so many. You can see here the whole list. You can look at it for yourself slowly if you want to go in detail to the article. In the freshwater fish, they found some white spot disease in several fish. They found camelanus in the live bearers. They found in some wild tetras, they found those digenetic trematodes, those metacercaria they found. So that's a little bit the summary of the parasites they all found, particularly when it concerns worms, was the most prevalent in the marine fish. And they show some pictures here. Here the white spot in the gills. Here the cabellanas on the right. Here the encapsulated metacercaria in the gills, which also I discuss a lot in my videos. So it gives the results all the parasites found. They have an interesting discussion going on. Here more pictures of the parasites found and digenetic trematodes, Digeneas in the marine fish. And here we can see these the Digenea, other digenetic trematodes in the marine fish. Another pictures, nice overview. Here we see the Neobenedenia and the gill flukes on the marine fish. They give some details. Here the Camelanus, which was found in the freshwater. No, it's the nematode, I'm sorry. It's the nematode capillaria that was found in the marine fish. So we found some Procalamus. It's Procamelanus, Spirocamelanus, the new variety, which is discussed. Let's go again. Correct myself. Camelanus species in marine fish. Interesting findings. Well, the conclusion they put out here. Uh, well, they did also here a study on the Spearman's correlation between environmental variabilities and biosecure practices. It means that has an impact on the incidence and quantity of parasites found. And this also reported in the conclusion, and which I can report to you here, that 12 parasites were found in the marine fish and 4 parasitic species in the freshwater fish. They examined the quarantine area, the water changes, the removal of dead fish, and other biosecure practices. It was highlighted that because of the high prevalence of those alien parasite species in the marine and freshwater fish, it highlights the critical need for effective biosecure measures in the ornamental pet shops here. So it's necessary to generate general health strategies regarding this problem. For example, a good disease surveillance when the fish coming in. That means good quarantine at the shops. That's why I'm teaching those lessons on quarantining, because for you as a shop, it's important that you prevent the diseases entering into the market, to your hobbyist, or even into your shop, in the aquaria where the fish are put up for sale. So they should implement adequate management strategies. That means water changes, monitoring, good husbandry practices, and I would say particularly disinfecting of nets or putting a net on each tank separately. I'll talk about that in my quarantine section. So a good quarantine period of newly acquired fish is crucial to identify and treat potential diseases before introducing the main aquarium. So those actions should be necessary to maintain a healthy fish population. So that's about the general, which is common sense, to be honest, that you avoid that when you import fish, that those diseases arrive at the shops or have arriving to the hobbyist. Interesting also to see the large amount of references. Interesting to look for if you want to go more in detail, and you can click on it here and you can find the detailed paper on these subjects. Also, some of the authors here did previous studies, like Trujillo here, did interesting studies on a lot of Monogenea, like Neobenedenia, on ornamental fish, and Monogenea, so the flukes. So it's interesting because they're a problem of the study. So I would recommend to look for these here. So I hope this study helped you to understand the importance of quarantining fish, avoiding that you introduce fish into the market, into the pet shops, particularly when you are an importer. Be aware, it's part of your responsibility. But I'm happy that you listen to this study to the end, because that means you will take lessons from it. Well, I hope so. Or you spread the message. Any comments? Let me know. If you have any critical remarks, I'm interested to answer them. Or spread this message to your fellow importers, aquarists, or in the club or in the meetings you have in the organization. Thank you for watching, and I hope this teach you a lesson.